Good morning, everyone. I'm glad that you found time and interest to join us in our webinar. Mm, And I'm glad also to have here together with me Michael Proschek-Hauptmann, who is working with us as an expert on sustainability. We'll cover the topic of navigating UDR compliance in your supply chain. Many thanks for the large interest in the question of how we'll organize our meeting. I mean, today, please see the agenda of the webinar. Feel free at any time to ask a question. There is a tab where you can simply ask the question, and we at the end of the webinar will view your questions and will answer them. At the same time, we also received the questions with the capability of registering your questions, so we'll address them as well. So once again, welcome on our webinar. As we all know, the EUDR clock is ticking, and we're moving on. So to make it in a specific approach, let's fasten our seatbelts. The journey to EUDR compliance is there. Don't worry, no turbulences on the way. You will learn, I mean, today how easy, simple, and efficient it is to get compliant if you have the right support, right tools in place. So, in order to present ourselves as a provider of EUDR compliance platform, it's important to emphasize that we're timber specific, and all what we have created and are still refining our technology to next higher levels is basically focused on the timber industry. It is specifically engineered for understanding how the processes need to be handled within our industry, and how important is the decentralized management for timber supply chains. You will learn the details in the presentation and the live demo of the platform. We as Deeplai are part of the technology partnership with PEFC, the Global Certification Organization. Very glad for that. We're also a member of ATIBT, the Tropical Timber Organization. And what is the most essential, we're focusing a lot, as we call it, the first mile, because the sourcing of the data in a traceability process and due diligence process in a supply chain is essential. It's very important to understand, and here we know that we are facing a lot of cases where not exactly is understood what is UDR and what are the obligations. So put here together a definition. Depending on the role in the supply chain, EUDR is obliging companies to perform due diligence in order to prove their compliance with the regulation by collecting verifiable information on the relevant supply chains, to perform risk assessment, risk mitigation measures, including specifically to collect of geolocation data of the harvesting sites. We try to put it in a very precise definition that everybody understands what are the obligations under EUDR. And please understand that we need to split our activities in two areas. One area is to provide the diligence processes, obviously dependent if we are SME or a large company or a trader or importer, all depends what is our place as an operator in the supply chain. Uh, and at the same time, how do we automate the process of submission of the DDS? So once we look at the due diligence processes in place, we need to understand that it's all about the collection of data. The gathering is essential. Without data, we cannot really run the processes. Then the management of the data, how we can in the supply chain keep the privacy of our data, what data we need to share with our partners in the supply chain, and how we can automate those processes. That are the key elements. But as I said, the first mile approach is based on what's happening at the forest. So how do we source our data and how we can support our supply chain in getting compliant and have the requirement of the verification of the data which are shared. Yeah. So when we look at this methodology, and we spend a lot of time on that, because whenever you are in the further part of the supply chain, you still will need to understand that your obligation is to prove the source of the timber. Yeah. And the ways how you will do it, we shall cover that, and how you can automate those processes. But please understand that the submission of the due diligence statement to the tracer system is a technical way how we're providing our obligations, but the data which are gathered and verified and confirmed, this is our obligation, and that we need to take care of. Yeah. So, understanding this, we need to say where we are in the supply chain, how do we support the other stakeholders in the supply chain in order to have a very clear chain of custody of all the elements which are needed to be audited in the future. So at the end, we need to also understand and recognize that there will be verifications of the data which are shared. So audit processes, and we have them integrated in our platform, are a key element of the due diligence which we need to perform. So let's go now and step to really your shoes and see, okay, are you dealing within EU, or are you an importer, which we'll cover later, and you're importing timber or any wooden products to the EU? So if you're within EU, really the obligations are not complicated. The data gathering is quite easy. In multiple countries, we're sourcing the timber from state forest organizations. We're sourcing them from private owners, from associations of private owners. It is quite transparent here. We just need to provide the due diligence process, or if we are an SME, we need to simply receive a DDS from our supplier and pass it to our buyer. But here we need to understand that if in the entire supply chain at the end there is a large company which needs to provide all those due diligence processes, even we are an SME, we can be asked to provide necessary information. And as I mentioned earlier, the audit process which will come in place will oblige us to share this information. On the other hand, as well, as a SME, having multiple buyers, and as an example, invoicing in hundreds, we need to automate our processes of submitting the due diligence statement. So we also need to look at it, how we can get a support, as an example, from Timber ID to automate the, the processes of submission. When we look at the supply chain as an importer, it's getting obviously a bit more complex, because as an importer, we need to rely on our partners to supply the information and to get the capability and use different tools in the chain of custody to have a really good understanding and proof that the processes which we are observing and which we're receiving from our suppliers, all the documentations are verifiable. Yeah, it's not about gathering, tons of data. It's about gathering the right data, understanding the data, and have the data in a verification mode that we, as an importer, and means we're the operator, the first operator who is bringing the product on the EU market, is liable. Yeah. So our liability, which then will pass to the next stakeholders in the supply chain, is crucial here. So we need to understand that if there is a need, it is a very high risk, country, we need as well to recognize a process of physical traceability, which is in our case a part of our Timber ID system. So for those who this option would require, is all built in our platform. Looking at the drivers of the EUDR deployment, yeah, we need to understand that, and there are a lot of evidences available. I'm just sharing just one of it, where we need to protect our EU market from any supplies which are coming from any illegal activities, on deforestation activities, or even more heavy, I would say, cases where we're seeing that a conflict timber is traded. Yeah? And I'm giving here an example of one a report. The source link is available here, where you can see that from the territory of Russia and Belarus via third countries are being provided products to the EU market, which should be restricted. So now when you think about a situation where EUDR is deployed already, it will be really good to understand that the importer is liable. And the importer is liable to check that all the documentation which he's receiving is verifiable and it is authentic. So please have this in mind, and as well, any other supplies of already finished wooden products, as furniture, for example, which are today flooding the EU market, will be also restricted in a level that we know that the suppliers who we allow to enter the EU market are really using the legal timber from a forest plot, which is not under deforestation. Yeah? It's very, very key to understand that in this aspect, the EUDR regulation is protecting us as EU and the companies working within EU and enabling them to get a higher competitiveness. Now to come here a bit about the Timber ID and how we are handling it. Yeah. So our platform is a cloud-based platform. It is a totally auto-scalable, reliable. Obviously, nobody can discuss about the safety of Amazon Web Services. We're securing by the decentralization approach which we're having in our system, and I will show the system in live. So you'll see how we're handling. It's very important that everybody is keeping the privacy of his data and sharing only what is needed to be shared. And once again, once in a supply chain we are gathering all the data, we need to provide audits to understand if the data we're gathering are really the right ones, or we need to get additional verification of the suppliers. Now, the authentication module in our platform is optional for those who really are looking at the physical traceability. So in our system, where the first level of really getting the proof is a digital delivery note. As it is presented here, you see it is a image sourcing of a load, can be used also with a one, let's say, physical code appliance, but it's an option, as I mentioned, but that gives you the first evidence that you know that this load was leaving this geolocation and arrived at this point of the reception, and this is enabling us in the system to give really the right information and the proof. What is also important here is that in our platform, you'll see we have an automated process of a deforestation satellite imagery and analysis. It is just done with one click. I can just move here and I can show you on one case how the report is done. There's a long mountain area, so you see a lot of JSON the data, but the most important is the reference of 220. And then we're seeing, that, yeah, this forest plot is great. Nothing happened here. And we're pretty sure that we can use this supply if we know that it's coming from this forest plot. Yeah? That is the other part of the obligation and the traceability element. But here from the deforestation report, we know that this forest plot is free, deforestation free, and also we see that on the indigenous people, topic, which we don't have within EU, is as well everything handled accordingly. Yeah? So we're basically covering this obligation, which is under EUDR as well. We're here automating the entire process of the submission of a due diligence statement to the traces platform. So the robust API is built in our platform, and this topic is covered. Equally important is that we're providing to our clients an integration with their ERP system at a minimum level, so it is not a complex integration, where we enable that once all the data are gathered in the Timber ID platform, the creation of the due diligence statement is run by using your own ERP system. So once you're creating a delivery note to your invoice, automatically the due diligence statement for that transaction will be created on the Timber ID platform. You'll receive a number, and on the delivery note, you will place the DDS number that your buyer will recognize that your delivery is matching the compliance of the EUDR. So the processes are run automatically and very, very easy and simple in implementation. So to get to the point where we are showing what all benefits by using the Timber ID solution the damming, you can see that we're really just pointing all the elements. There is not a single element which is not covered under UDR and not handled in our platform. And all what's possible is it's automated, and we'll add more and more automation of functionalities. So as an example, I mentioned at the beginning, we're a partner of PFC as a technology partner. So now we shall launch the automation of a PEFC certification verification. So once you will upload a certification from PFC, which you'll receive from your supplier, it will be automatically checked with our system that it is matching the database of PFC, and it is accurate and there are no issues around it. So we'll be adding more and more, and you will see how we'll be helping all our clients to get more and more automation. It's very important to be said that we are offering our platform at a very affordable way, because we're charging the annual license fee depending on the size of the organization. A small forest owner will pay a little. The larger your company is, the more you'll pay. Today, in average, our clients, the annual cost is 4,300 euro annually. But we're having, clients with 200, 300 million revenues. Yeah. So from very small ones to the big ones. Now, the operational fees in our platform are based on your usage of the platform. So storage, processing, and transfer of files in a very transparent way. For those who are going for the authentication part, we have the hardware, and we have the mobile apps which are related. And as mentioned, the implementation of our platform is within a day, less than a day, and there is no fee for that. It is included in the pricing. We're willing to help you to get as soon as possible compliant. We have a special promotion till the end of this month. Anybody who will sign up will get extra 6 months free license. Here you got a QR code which is giving you a link for a free of charge the consultancy. You can find it on our website. Feel free just to register, fill up the form. We'll be happy to help you. And yeah, we're really willing that you'll join all of the group of users of our platform. So that was the first part. So many thanks for your attention, and I'll see now if there are any questions in the meantime. No, I don't see any questions. Feel free to ask questions. I would like Michael, if you could give some comments for now before I go for the live presentation of the platform, and then we go for the discussion as it was in the agenda presented. Please.
Thank you, Swapan. Colleagues, nice to have you here at this meeting. Probably as a starting point, to many of you, UDR is a big monster which is putting a threat to the industry. But what we want to show here is that it is doable when you, let's say, use the right approaches. And we're thinking about what issues should we bring up, and we thought, explaining again what is due diligence, what are your due diligence obligations as such. I think it's important to mention that the due diligence obligations are basically built on the information which you get, right? The better the information that you get, the better the risk assessments are that you can perform, and the risk mitigation measures which you can put then on top of this. And the the whole system needs to be consistent. And if it is consistent, you protect it, right? And you did your obligations. This is the good news. And a second point, a second question, which obviously all often arises, is the question of the geolocations, right? So does now everybody need to collect geolocation information in the supply chain? And here it's important to understand that the EUDR is putting different obligations to different actors and to different sizes of actors in the supply chain. This is concerning mostly, let's say, companies within the European Union. So small and medium-sized companies are basically exempt from the due diligence obligations as long as they do not put for the first time material to the market. So if they're just working with material that underwent already a due diligence process, they can rely basically on existing due diligence statements. Whereas for the big companies, for the big operators, for the big traders, there is the obligation to collect this geolocation information. And this brings a bit of an inconsistency of the concept of UDR, because on the one hand, I can, let's say, as a big operator, source from a small one, and then I need to have the possibility to go through in order to do also my due diligence checks in the end, right? So I will need, also as a small and medium-sized operator, you might get some obligations from your customers in providing this data first. And the second thing is, even if you just rely on existing due diligence statements, you retain full responsibility for the compliance. I think this is important. This is why it is also advisable, even for small and medium-sized operations, at least to put a basic level of management system in place, which, again, it sounds like a big thing. It is not in the end. If you manage it properly, everybody is already acquainted with certification, or most of the companies in the timber sector are, let's say, familiar with certification. So basic due diligence system was already required also in the past from UTR. So it should not be a big thing to establish, but it is advisable to set it up correctly.
Thank you. That was a really great input to make it, clear for everyone. As you mentioned at the beginning, that the EUDR monster is not so difficult to get implemented. And this is the reason why we're gathering here, to make it clear that if you are using tools and you're automating your processes, obviously understanding what needs to be done, it's much easier for you to get compliant. Yeah? So just to get you through the highlights of the platform. So as I said at the beginning, we are timber specific. So the platform is designed for the forestry industries and helping them to really get the processes in a very easy way in place. So we got in the system two modules. One is the EUDR module, one is the authentication module. So as I said, yeah, authentication is optional for those who are in the high-risk areas or are having high-value logs, willing to have all the processes here in place. It is all available in one platform. Yep. So as I was sharing the information about the decentralization, so that's what we're really offering. Yeah, we're offering that within the supply chain, everybody is keeping his own Timber ID instance. So he is the owner of the platform, his own data, privacy, security of the data, and then within another stakeholder, once you are having as well the timber ID, platform, and that is the basic idea that within the supply chain, the stakeholders are working on an equal platform. Why? Yeah, easy to receive invitation, send invitation. So basically, you're building your supply chain with your partners. So all what we were saying about the gathering of information can be run automatically. So once you will have this kind of link, your supplier will share with you the required information, limited, what is needed only, and you will populate all data automatically. You will know exactly who shared what and when. Yeah. And same with your buyer. You will issue a DDS, and you will also pass the information to your buyer. So having this approach within the entire supply chain, we're allowing to provide the downstream trail or the audits. So just think that you are at the top of the supply chain and you want to provide an audit. You'll have a checklist and you can ask your supplier, sub-suppliers until you reach the geolocation of the forest plot of the source of the timber, and you can provide the entire audit process fully in a fully automation mode by gathering all the information. Obviously, then you need to do your verification processes. You need to do different other actions, but the essence is really automated here in our platform. As well, with this obviously is difficult to show the EU trace access. So once you as a user of the platform, as operator, you are registered, then the processes of creating a DDS are fully automated and registered here. Yeah, that is not possible to be shown on a demo system. So once you're the user, you have your accounts, so you have your users. As we have in our platform, you can create roles and responsibilities, and you have open API keys for integration with the ERP system, or for whatever other needs. The API keys are prepared and open here for any integrations you would like to provide. And as I mentioned, we do it in a very specific way to minimize the level of integration which is needed. Yeah? So basically, you got this data. Here, as I said, you have the operational costs. So you see exactly your file storage, file transfers, processing. Yeah, you can get reports. You can get a monthly report. That's of what we are doing. You can see your billing as well. So you can see in a summary in our platform, it was July 15 last year. That was the credit. We used this amount of money, and this is left. Yeah. So basically, you are knowing your real operational costs of using the system, and that is really very different case by case. So we have clients who are, let's say, equally at the same level of their revenues. So they're paying equally the same amount of license fee to us. But one client is issuing 50 invoices per month because of the specific of his business. Other client is issuing 500 invoices per month. Obviously, their operational costs will be adequate to the level of the files they're processing in their system. So this is the way how we're approaching it, and the way how we're doing it transparent to everyone. So now to come to the information which is required by the EUDR, you need to know the geolocations. If you are the operator who needs to gather this information, you need to provide your risk assessment, risk mitigation, levels. So that was the forest plot. I was showing the deforestation report. Here in the system, you just click and the deforestation report within 5 minutes is created automatically and stored in the system. Yeah. So here you can see deforestation report. You'll find it after, in average, about 5 minutes. The deforestation report is here. Yeah. So here we go to the editing mode. You put your name, you put the data, obviously the JSON, the coordinates, because it's a large forest plot. And you're putting your risk assessment, risk mitigation, levels. That is individual, by country, by the specifics or your supply chain. Yeah? You're building this data here. We're also are working on automating this processes, and we will come with new features to assist you here on that. Yeah. Same you do with your suppliers. So just to keep to the relevant forest plot and the supplier. Here you also go to the, as an example, to the editing mode. These are the data. You can check, the ID of the company here, and if you want, we're helping you here to get different links to the information you need to gather. So such as financial reporting about the company, certification, PFC, FSC, any corruption index. So one of the obligations under EUDR is to make sure that you're not trading with someone who is blacklisted. Yeah. So that is the way how to do it. And also, depending, we're talking about in the presentation about the importers. So as we know, Preferred by Nature is having a lot of forms which they are recommending country by country to understand what are the specifics and how we can gather the right information in our system. We're also working with consultants, using consultants who are supporting us and our clients in providing this information about a specific country and the documentation which is required. Yeah, the products, basically, these are your products. Yeah. So as example, you're a similar. Your products are boards. Yeah. Okay. So you will have different types of boards. You have it in your ERP system. Basically, with the integration, we have all your products in our Timber ID platform. We are a producer of furniture, for example. You're having all your indexes in your ERP system. We're having them in our system. And now, once you are providing all the data here and you're running your due diligence process, you're running your audits, so you are prepared to face a situation that a competent authority is approaching you and asking, okay, so please, for this transaction, now demonstrate how did you provide the due diligence process in your organization, so you'll be able to do it. On the other hand, you are basically continuing to work as usual. You're working in your ERP system, issuing the delivery notes, invoices, every delivery note, because one invoice can have multiple delivery notes. That's happening in some cases with our clients. So we're linking the DDS number to the delivery note because it is related to a transaction. And transaction is a shipment of goods. Yeah? So you're working in your ERP system. The processes are done automatically. The data is stored in our platform, and the DDS number is basically in your ERP system. So here is the example of a DDS, which was as a test. Yeah. Done, but as I said, we can do it only today at a level, a very limited level. Every client who is an operator and he has the obligation to create the DDS statements will need to register in the tracer system, and then basically we can provide here more information. Yeah. So as you see, system is easy and really fast to implement. Just to show you on the authentication, yeah, it is a file structure. I just want to show you one thing. So once you already have the authentication data in the system is running the verifications. Multiple times can be run this distance verification, and basically here you have a case where you see that your source data, your verification data are matching, not matching, and you got all the geolocation information here, and you can get the proof of the process. Yeah. So that is related, as I said, optionally to those who are requiring this process to be in place. Yeah. So you're the admin of your platform. You create within your organization the roles and responsibilities, and you're working in your supply chain to gather the information and share the information with your partners. Yeah. So we're here. Okay. We are having questions. I see Michael answer, but Michael, if I can ask you, if you can just, because the other participants do not see that, if you could just make a comment on the question you had and you have answered.
Yeah, so there was one question related to the imports into the European Union. What happens with stock which has been already imported? So there are clear transition routes here for such cases, and there's one, let's say, basic rule which you should really keep in mind, that with starting next year, starting 2026, you need EUDR applies fully, right, to all material which is imported after this date, after the 30th of December 2025. So that means also for this material, geolocation information needs to be provided. For material which has been imported into the European Union before December this year, you will be required to prove that EUTR has been applied accordingly. So this is the difference. EUTR does not request us to provide geolocation data. So also for material which has been imported before this date, we don't need to have geolocation data. But of course, for material later, you have to have it. And this also means that if you are dealing with traders outside European Union, to start collecting geolocations just, let's say, in December is probably too late, right? You should start earlier. They should start earlier. You should make yourself ready. But for the imported goods, you have this basic information. I hope this answered this question appropriately.
Yes, very many thanks, Michael. And just to add on that, and that is also the key argument for all those who already took this decision and were implementing or have implemented our platform already. Understanding that within their supply chain, it can take them months until they will gather all the required information. Yeah. And in order to be really prepared and ready in the autumn, some clients already decided to begin. Even it was last year already, the delay was there, but still there were clients who decided, okay, let's go for it. We want to have it done. We want to have everything clear, that everything is in place. Yeah. But from the questions which were here asked earlier, I think I like a lot one question, and I would like that you will have a comment, please, Michael. Do I always have to trace each tree?
This is basically not the case, of course. So I mean, this is a sort of, let's say, a myth in the end, which was somehow, let's say, emerging out of the discussion. I think uh, it's not really, it's not doable to all for all the trees. It makes sense to trace trees, but let's say for high value logs, for instance, this is nothing new. It's also already existing, right? There's no obligation to trace each tree. This is clear. But what you have to trace is, let's say, the origins. And the origins can be multiple. And in the timber industry, we know that we're mixing a lot. So you also will not be able, let's say, to allocate one log, especially when we speak about, let's say, softwood, for instance, to a certain origin. This is currently not really possible in an economic way. So you can, of course, declare in excess. That means you need to have all potential origins of your timber, and then you need to apply this data. What comes along with this excessive declaration, of course, is the more origins you have, the higher the risks are also, right? So it is advisable for companies, of course, to try to bring down the number of potential origins to a reasonable level which they can sort of manage. I'm saying this because there are a lot of, let's say, discussions around, okay, there will be declarations of thousands of square kilometers of forests, which will go into one due diligence. This is potentially impossible. It's legally. I wonder how this will work in the future when then some non-conformities are appearing, of course, right?
Yeah, and just to add to what Michael you said, yeah, the larger forest plot is placed on a due diligence statement, the higher the risk is that if in this area would happen any non-compliance, basically the entire plot is out of business. Yeah, so this needs to be emphasized to all of those who are thinking that let's make our life easier, and we really have live cases here in different, countries where they're saying, okay, let's have one DDS statement for the full year and for the large area. So yes, legally it's possible under UDR, but from the business perspective, it's created a really high risk that if by chance you never know what can happen, you're putting yourself at a very, very high risk. Yeah. Okay, good. Let's move on, and I encourage everyone also now during the session to get more questions.
There are some questions. There are some questions.
There are some questions. Okay, let's go for that. Okay, open questions. I am a big company and have affiliates, bought the wood and need to give it to affiliate. You should affiliate to do again.
I can answer this question.
Okay, please. Yeah.
So basically, if you are one company in a group, it is always advisable to have a group concept for EUDR implementation, because you save a lot of resources, of course, right? Especially when you have, let's say, similar supply chains, and you do not need to redo the due diligence. It's a part of documentation then, of course, on how you can do this. But in the end, you can help yourself by, let's say, it's important to know, like, obligated is always the company, is always the affiliate, because it's like the one who is, let's say, responsible then for doing the due diligence. But if there's a joint management system covering everything, you cover it as well.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Could you answer the next question as well? I think I need your support on this one.
We are computation every. So if you are a company which is importing or exporting, like from Africa to Europe, you will need to provide the data which is requested under EUDR to your importer. The obligation for the due diligence statement is always with the European company. It's always with the European Union-based company. There is no obligation for you as an extra-European Union company to make a due diligence statement. It's also, I mean, you can do this with this URL number and you can register, but in the end, the obligation and also the liability is with the European Union company, right? But this importer will practically ask you to provide this information according to, let's say, a due diligence system, a structured information. That is, the importer will have a risk assessment, and he will also ask you to provide the risk mitigation information accordingly. And this, of course, then will also have effects on your supply chain. It means you should also, let's say, then get in contact with your suppliers, because in the end, this information you will need in order to be able to export into the European Union. If the information is not provided, and if, let's say, the due diligence statement cannot be issued because of missing information, they simply stop of the process. It's like also the process is linked to the customs procedure, and if the due diligence statement cannot be issued because of missing coordinates, or then it cannot be imported. It's one of the core requirements of UDR.
To add on that, one of our clients who already has implemented the Timber ID platform is outside of EU and has been requested by the importer to provide all the data, because the importer is unable to get the access to the data, but he's liable because he is the operator and he's bringing the products to the EU market. So without this collaboration between the supplier and the importer, and making understand that the supplier needs to provide all those informations which are under EUDR. So that really shows that the obligation is not only, or the information gathering is not only the relevant to the EU-based companies, it is relevant to all the companies which are exporting to EU, because they need to support their importers. Importers are unable to gather all this information by themselves. Basically, they need it from their suppliers. So that's already happening. We have this type of implementations, and I think there'll be more and more because slowly and slowly the importers begin to understand that their liability is really high here, and they need to rely on the information which they're receiving. So it's good to have a tool to do the verifications and audits, right?
So, but I think there's one question
Yes, please, yeah.
Selective data sharing, right? I think you should answer this question, Mike.
Okay. Well,
the first one.
Okay. Does a traceability audit at a supplier allow due diligence to be validated? In the process of the due diligence, you need to gather the information, and you need to have the possibility to validate the information. It means to verify if it is correct or not. So yes, this is the obligation of you as providing the due diligence process, and the traceability element, which can be, as I was mentioning, in our case, we're having a digital delivery node, traceability of a load. So you can do this process in this way. We have a physical traceability of a log. You can provide the traceability in this way. The way which process you choose depends where you are based, what are the countries you're dealing with, and how risky it is to have the really proof of the provenance of the timber. Hopefully I answered this question. How selective data sharing works? Can be part of the full supply chain into be kept confidential, like identity of middleman? Yes, that is the one key element of the decentralized approach which we're having. and the approach which is allowing that every stakeholder in the supply chain, irrespective of the size of the company, is having his own Timber ID instance with all his data. So he needs only to selectively share the information which is related to a transaction with me, yeah, or with another buyer. He can have 100 buyers. Yeah? So basically, he is securing his data and only sharing what is needed to be shared, and at the same time allowing you to provide an audit, because obviously in the due diligence process, and one of the key elements how to make sure that the verification element is in place, you need to provide audits. So then you need to request more specific information on a transaction. But in general, that is the key element of the partnership we're having in our system. Provide the privacy and security of data and have a full evidence who shared what and when. Okay, I am still having on my list one question there. I would say a lot of questions, but I think this one I would really like you to cover. What is the role of certification in the future? Because this question is really, I'm asked multiple times during my presentation, and I think, I'm not surprised that the question came on board, but please, if you could, having the in-depth knowledge and experience in the industry, so what's the role of the certification in the future under UDR? Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, certification was very much under pressure during the UDR development process, I would say, and there was very big criticism on the certification systems that they do not deliver in the end, right? So PFC and FSC, both systems basically took up the challenge and, let's say, adapted also to this necessity. And even if the certification system, so PFC or FSC certification in the future, will not be a proof of UDR compliance 100%, but they will become and they will remain a very important, let's say, measure, a risk mitigation measure, simply also because they're providing you a management system which you can use in order to perform the UDR compliance, right? And both of the systems have already ideas on how to address certain risks. So you will also be able to refer to the risk mitigation measures which they're providing. You will be able to refer to the audits which they are performing, which is very helpful. It is sort of, let's say, also a cost-effective way of dealing with due diligence. Will they cover everything? No, for sure not. They will be simply also because they are not 100% aligned in all of the topics. There will remain risky situations which need to be addressed separately, but at least, let's say, for the main flows, at least this is my personal view, is that the certification systems will give you a good coverage on UDR compliance when you use these UDR modules. And yeah, this is my basic judgment on this situation, I should say, right?
Yeah, many thanks, Mikhail. I can share what the clients are telling me who are implementing our platform, that once they're looking at the risk assessment and its mitigation elements, it's important for them to see that their supplier is FSC certified or PSC certified. They feel more confident that already some processes are in place there. Yeah? So I think this will remain, and I know that under PEFC has been created a new module, which is a EUDR compliance module for certification. These certifications on the EUDR within PEFC will begin mid of March, so you can get also certified by PFC on the EUDR compliance and processes. And we, as a technology partner with PFC, are supplying you the tool, the platform which is enabling you to get compliant and have the process in place. So to make a short summary at the end, now we're landing, yeah. So happily landed, nice weather, no turbulences. You can unfasten your belts. Now you know that you got here experts. We're working with, as I say, with Michael and other individuals who are experts in the sustainability and supply chains. We're having one of the most affordable platforms, easy, simple to implement, giving you the entire, comfort to get compliant. Here, we're still emphasizing what promotion we're having this month, because we strongly believe the earlier you begin, the better it will be for you. We know in real life, people who were thinking, even they signed up that they will implement, they were thinking it will take them 2-3 months and they'll be done. In real life, it takes them 6 months or even more. So the devil is always in the details. The earlier you do it, the better it will be for you. And last but not least, we're offering the free of charge. The consultants say, feel free to reach out anytime to us and to get our support. Yeah? I don't see any questions more here. It's open. So we just reached exact time. I think we're getting perfect more and more in the time management, which is also important. So many thanks to all of you for taking your time and participating. We have recorded this webinar, will be published. You will get all the participants, and everybody who signed up will get the email with thank you and all the links. And at the end, wishing you a safe and efficient journey to be EUDR, compliant, yeah? And see that really, as we said at the beginning, it's not so the complex as it's being painted at the beginning. So once again, Michael, many thanks for supporting us during this webinar. And yeah, thank you for joining us. Have a great day, all of you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.